everyone, and welcome to the Lifting Show, recorded on September 26th, 2019. I am Joanna Michaels, and along with my co-host, Katrina Schaff.
Hi, everyone.
And Christopher Stephen Jacobs. We welcome you to the show. For those of you hearing us for the first time, I cannot stress enough that if you haven't heard our shows from the beginning, which began in January 2017, and this show I think is actually show number 75, and then when you add in the Q&As, there's at least 20 of those, so we're getting up to 100 shows. There's a lot there, and we talk a lot about skills that you need, guys, in this new energies, and so we don't really rehash a lot of it all the time. But you need to go back. And if you go back to the beginning, we were very methodical trying to present them first and foremost in all of our talks before we started talking about many, many other things. So we encourage you to go back to the beginning. And the website, again, if you don't know, is thelifting2017.wixsite.com/thelifting. And just go to the episodes tab. It's kind of put in order there for you as well. You can go to the YouTube site, which is actually, if you go to YouTube, go up to the search bar and put Christopher Stephen Jacobs, or actually I think it's Christopher S. Jacobs, then you'll find the YouTube site that way. If you go to the playlists, you should see the episodes hopefully in order there as well. So please go back. If you've only listened to a few of our shows, I can't encourage you enough. You need to go back to the beginning and start listening to some of those beginning shows for the skills that you need that we often talk about here. So, and for those of you that don't know, Chris participates live every Friday on a radio show on Revolution Radio Studio A called the Galactic Interstellar Council. So, and Chris really does his best to be live on Fridays when you can. Chris will then post those shows, probably, it's a little bit later, 2 weeks to a month later. Chris then can post the shows on our YouTube. But if you want to listen to him live on Revolution Radio, then please go there and do that. So tonight we are going to be talking about heroes and quests. So we're going to get right into it. But as always, we always start with an affirmation and blessing. And so, Chris.
All right. May all your quests be without the arrogance of heroes old, and may all your timelines and paths be laid out by you alone. It is forever so.
And so we're going to turn this over now to Katrina.
Hello, everyone. What is a hero? Or are there really any heroes? If you're waiting for anyone or anything to rescue or save you, in my opinion, you have a long wait in store. Someone or something may protect you by guiding you into a safe area in your life, or may even compel you into a direction that will keep you on your soul's path. But the only one that is going to save you is yourself. Our soul, our inner strength, our personal GPS, our intelligence, and our intuition is what saves us. When we shut down these inherent traits, we leave ourselves vulnerable and our safety at risk. We must keep our game plan in place and secure it with our faith, our hopes, truth, and listen to our inner guidance and/or our higher self. We must believe we know what we need to do in order to do the right thing for ourselves. So are we the only hero in our life? There are people, events, and traumas, both good and bad, that come into our life that teach us what we need and want, and what we don't need or what we don't want. These people, events, traumas, and so on could be the things that help enforce our choices or validate we have chosen the right path. All these things could either make life better or they can throw us off the track. Both positive things and negative things smarten us up. We learn to grow from both. I personally believe it is the mistakes, the poor choices and traumas that we grow from the most, or they seem to make the most impact on us. I wouldn't call these people or things heroes, but I would call them blessings that keep us on our toes and keep us from becoming complacent about thinking we know everything. We never know everything, but the more we live through and the more we use our own hero guidance, we do start to recognize the things to avoid and the things to hold dear. It is really comforting to think someone will save us if we screw up. But to me, it is more comforting to know that I have the ability to survive and to get through the things I face in life. If there are heroes in my life, they are friends and family. Friends that accept me for who I am, that tell me the truth, listen when needed, and are always there in the good and the bad times. They may not be heroes, but they are some of the sweetest gifts in life. Their support, honesty, and love for us can get us through most anything. Our family, our partner, are what I call my house. They're the people that keep our house standing. They should keep it strong, secure, and full of comfort and love. On the other hand, we need to look at and choose our friends carefully and use our inner gifts to determine if they are good for us or if they are someone we should move away from. Our house can stand strong, or it can be a house of cards that will collapse. Just because you're born into a family does not mean they are family members you need to be around. If a friend, family member, or a partner is someone you cannot trust, or they bring you unneeded pain, both physically or emotionally, you're not under any obligation to keep them in your life. You have to decide if they're truly there for your highest good, or if they are actually blocking you from your spiritual growth and your life path. One of the main things that help us to be a hero is our core beliefs. Although beliefs can change through our life, our core beliefs usually remain the same. We start at a young age deciding what we believe and who we really are. We are taught many things from our family, the church, our school, etc. But somewhere in life, we awaken to what we truly believe, and it usually remains unchanging. We may tweak it a little here and there, but the core stays the same. When we really know and understand our core beliefs, we can make our life choices much easier, and we can stay focused on our path. The hard part of walking your hero's path is not everyone may believe or accept what you believe. This is when you discover who your true friends are or which family member or partner will make your house sturdy and who will help it to grow. The one thing I know is that I want to strive every day to be a better person in all facets of my life. I want to be a hero to myself in all I do. I have to live an authentic life. I have to live my life in a manner that is true to me and that supports my core beliefs, which in turn will draw the people and things into my life that are good and right, and that will repel the people and things that do not serve me. Thank you for listening.
Yeah, that was very good. I'm gonna have to get closer here. All right. Now I'm going to make some interesting points here myself. This is going to be my section here. It's kind of echoing there a little bit. Let me see here. Hello, everyone, and thank you for listening to this episode of The Lifting. We know it has been a while since we have done a scripted episode, but it has been very trying for us, not only in energy, but physically, as well as with potential connections that see themselves as more of the hero on a sacred quest and not like everyone else. In this episode, we will speak about the subject of what is a true hero and what is a quest. And I'm going into different points that I've come up with names for. And this one I call the Hercules Initiative. And I know it's ironic because it's based on a past life of mine. That's all I'm ever going to say about it, because I'm not going to gloat about that. So
Then there's nothing to gloat about there.
No. No.
Let's just make that clear.
No. It was horrible. Let's just put it that way. Looking into the Hercules lifetime, it's not completely like the myth said. There are some points in the historical record that are true. In the 12 labors, there are some truths in there, but there are some things that were embellished as well. So we'll go into the Hercules Initiative. Muscle-bound heroes or knights that have been quested with either killing a dragon or other hybrid creature on the behest of a god or collecting equipment for the Dark Anunnaki, such as sacred objects, weapons, magical weapons, such as swords and axes, or cups, such as the Holy Grail. This is because the Dark Anunnaki could not come to Earth to retrieve these items or kill these creatures themselves because they were too scrawny. So they enlisted a hero or knight to do it for them as a holy quest. Some were multiple quests, such as the 12 labors of Hercules, or Samson killing all of the Philistines for God. If the Dark Anunnaki or other races do not need a particular bloodline or race around because it will interfere in a future experiment, they will tell some hero, knight, or champion to kill off said rogue race. All quests in the name of God are of this particular initiative. This unfortunately happened a lot in antiquity, as well as still occurs today. People fighting and warring in the name of a flag, piece of land, national pride, skin color, or for king and country. However, as noble and patriotic as that may seem, it is anything but. It is nothing but a program designed to get one nation to think that it is under God, and also designed to make a single race think that it is the master race. We all are one, and this fact has eluded people since the very beginning, when brothers and sisters become bitter enemies and soul families were forced to incarnate as pieces on a giant chessboard. When Atlantis and Lemuria warred, and Tartaria was all but forgotten. It is simple, really. If your belief that you are the hero of the day, then if it is your belief that you're the hero of the day, then you are anything but. But if you have the confidence to see yourself as number one, while seeing yourself as second to your own ego and villainy, then you will be seen as a villain to those that are still on the quests of old. However, there are quests that can be good for the soul and enrich the spirit of creativity. When you quest for greatness, that can be bad, especially if you do not do it on behalf of someone else unseen or an unseen deity. When you quest for knowledge, history, truth, and soul, then this is when a quest can be most beneficial. When truth and wisdom take center stage, and when the hero lays down his sword of nations in the name of the pen, as well as the hand wielding it, this is when a true quest for your soul is won. There is nothing greater than that, save three things that I forgot to mention, and that is love, unity, and balance. Joanna?
What I want to kind of speak about in the area of heroes and quest is the expansion of the quest for truth, because a lot of you guys out there, I know I am, we are all trying to grow right now. And again, we talk about what is our current truth and how can we expand in our understanding of everything. So as Chris said, it can be a noble quest and full of personal rewards. However, there are some pitfalls or perceived pitfalls as well. So I'd like to expand on this. So let's kind of start at the beginning of what is truth. And so I actually do what I normally do. I just kind of go online and Google me some definitions. And there were really kind of three there that were interesting. It's considered a noun. And the three definitions are, number one, the quality or state of being true. Number two, that which is true or in accordance with fact or reality. Number three, a fact or belief that is accepted as true. These are a few of the acceptable definitions of what is truth. But these truths also normally come with a feeling, or some could say actually a judgment regarding a person, place, or situation that also becomes a part of the truth, or how a person, place, or situation fits into your reality of this world that you're in right now. So how do we actually apply these definitions in our real life? Let's first talk about laws in our society. Laws often dictate a truth about what is acceptable in society. For example, stealing is bad, killing is bad, destroying another's property is bad. Now, not all will agree that certain laws, now, Not everyone's going to agree with all the laws that are out there, and I am certainly not here right now to argue specific laws. I just want to say that I believe laws are considered a fact in society, a truth, as long as they stand. And then they're no longer true. When you get down to other facts, such as religion or spiritual beliefs, I believe that these fall under the third type of definition of truth, which again is a fact or belief that is accepted as truth. And when you look at the scientific world, such as the physics introduced and adopted by Einstein, I think it would fall under a state of being true, since most scientific proof by mainstream scientists are either proved or not considered valid based upon those initial scientific beliefs. So, with varying definitions, right off the bat, what is considered a truth does not come from one pure definition. But what does all that mean? I mean, laws on societal acceptance are being changed all the time. Most here listening can recall plenty of societal laws now considered ridiculous in this day and age. It also seems to me that more people than ever are questioning the truths about religious doctrine that have been provided for thousands of years. And many scientists now question that what they refer to as the limiting physics of science based off Einstein's theories is maybe what's really going on. Some even ponder what world we would actually be living in if we had accepted the theories from Tesla instead of Einstein in mainstream science. So all those scientific truths are starting to be questioned. So, is everybody nuts who is questioning these truths? No, I don't think so. Because I do believe that for many, there is a desire to know and understand more, which for me actually provides what I think is a more accurate definition of truth, which is a level of understanding that provides a perception based upon one's current knowledge and experience level. Thus, it is more likely than not that as a person's knowledge and experience level expands, so will their truths. Thus, laws will change, religious beliefs will change, science will change, etc., because we want to grow. And by the way, those definitions I provided in the beginning, which came from I just copied and pasted, they actually suck because they use a form of the same word in the goddamn definition. Sorry for my cussing, but I want to make a point. Truth and true are the same thing. So these definitions talk in a circle. But I digress, but I wanted to point that out because I was like, does anybody else picking up on this crazy stuff? How they use the same word in the definition to define something? Okay, it drives me crazy. Anyway, I want to bring in here that, now that we decided to have this conversation this week, that I actually had a conversation with my son last week. And he was reflecting on a few family events from when he was just a very, very small child. This historical family event caused a lot of issues and fundamentally left some scarred and some scars that are still very present to this day. So he wanted the truth because there seemed to be conflicting conversation. What he wanted is who was right, so he knows who was wrong. And I am talking about people who I do not believe are actively trying to be deceptive or lie, but yet their truths still differ. So I told him my understanding, which was that the best he would get is people's perception of what occurred. I tried to explain that it is a person's life experience that dictates their perception. It is my belief that if one stood before the source and told their truth, assuming, of course, that they were not intentionally trying to lie, that the source would view it with all of the knowledge and understanding of a person's experience and understanding at that time, And for many, the source would give the answer of, I can see how that would be your truth. And that is what people don't like in a black and white truth, non-truth type of society. But that is actually more of what really occurs. So this is what I told my son, and I tried to get him to stop looking for one truth, that there is enough information to know that these were challenging and hurtful times, and those times still affect people now, but the focus should be all about now. So this ended our conversation about this subject, but I would like to add more here. In this particular situation, it is in my opinion that some decided to maintain their truth with no additional desire to grow or to expand. No more information was allowed in to account for another's perspective or any additional information that would even remotely lead to a cascade of reconsideration and a more refined truth for them. I bring this up because I feel this is a common occurrence happening in this world today. And I mean the desire to want to stay where you are within your beliefs and not grow, so you can maintain your current truths. Now, I am a true believer that a person can be where they are and take as much time as they want to grow. And I've said that over and over again, and I believe that. But what I am actually thinking is that there is an inherent problem if you don't want to grow, but yet you want the truth. What I think some of these people should actually put out there is that I am only prepared to accept my current truth. Because basically, if you say I want the truth, expansion probably is going to start. And then you've got this internal inside conflict because I only want to believe what I want to believe, but yet I'm saying I want the truth. So it's a very interesting situation that many, many, many people are in right now. But again, since they don't want to see it from the perspective I even just stated, they are demanding that the truth come out, not quite prepared for the new truth or the truth, that it actually comes from personal perspective change, which comes from an increase of experience and understanding, which then sends a person from clarity, their current truth, to confusion, to chaos, to mourning an old perspective, which then gives rise to a better clarity and the next truth. So again, I've always say the truth is the truth until a better truth comes along. Well, that all is internal work. That's no one else telling you that there's a new truth out there. That's actually you expanding from inside, because you have to accept that as a new truth that you've now adopted into yourself. So right now, we always say here, again, another example of be careful what you ask for, because this is an example of why. If you are not ready to consider that your truths may change, don't ask for what the truth is, people, because it's going to start a cascade of events going on in your life, and it's going to be very uncomfortable. So right now, there's a lot of mad people out there because of the demand for truth, with the perception that their current truth was the ultimate truth. And guess what? It's not quite playing out that way. So now there is, again, a personal, soulful confrontation of self to expand by many. And that was not desired as well. So again, what is going on out there? What are these energies doing? They're actually contributing to this whole chaos, because people now are having the desire to expand somewhat. But again, they're hanging on to, I'll expand because what I really want is everyone to see the world that my current truth is the truth, and you guys are dummies for not actually believing it. But when the truth comes out, you're going to find out that I actually knew it all. That, believe it or not, is a very consistent thought process that many, many people are in right now. So, what a mess. And yes, this is all a part of that tangled ball of mess we find ourselves in that is slowly being undone as we choose to grow, go ahead and grow. And since there is an innate resistance to not want to grow, many will first blame everything or everybody else for their current discomfort, except for the one causing it, which is themselves. So you guys are seeing this. You're probably feeling it. You've probably done it. Because am I guilty of this? You're damn straight I'm guilty of this. I have blamed all kinds of things, but looking at myself to see that this is me doing it. I don't do it as bad as I used to, but I can't lie to you guys and tell you that I got all my shit together, because I don't. And there's no one out there right now who really has it all together. If someone out there, guys, is telling you they really got all the answers and got it all together, you guys should be going, that's what you should be doing, okay? So, anyway, again, if you look at yourself, you're going to be able to say, yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about, because I've been there too. And I think you guys can admit to yourself, yeah, been there, done that. So sometimes you just want to hold on to a belief or truth because you have decided that that was now a foundational belief. And those foundational core beliefs, again, vast majority of your time, you're born with them, you're there, they're not going to really change. But every now and then, one of them is going to potentially change. And that is hard. That is really, really hard, because you feel a loss, basically, without it. And you are a little bit lost, because these core beliefs kind of give you a way to perceive all the world. So feeling a bit lost is a great fear, and no one likes to be in that uncomfortable position, so you hold on to it. And again, if we want to talk, at least, again, it's across the board, but I'll use the example of how this applies to many when they begin to question their religious or spiritual beliefs. It's very uncomfortable, and people really do feel a loss when some of those types of belief systems begin to be questioned and start to change, because it really is how the glasses that they put on to view the world through. And I also think we hold on to beliefs because there is an anger or injustice felt, and basically it cannot be released. So this happens a lot, is you actually are stuck in such a anger or injustice mode that you don't want to see the world any other way. And I hate to say it, and sometimes misery loves company, and you drag in a few more people with you, and then you have a whole group of people that don't want to let any more information in because you're so hurt and feel such an injustice. Now, am I judging anybody like that? No, because have I done it? Yes. Okay, so everyone's done this. I'm just trying to give a few reasons as to why people hold on dearly when they should be letting go and letting new belief systems and new truths form. So when you talk about the area of not being able to release something or holding on beliefs, again, anger or injustice, and holding on to that and not releasing it, I can't say that without saying this is where actually I talk about the word forgiveness. And again, for me, forgiveness is about release. It is not about saying someone's actions is okay or acceptable or accepted. It's not saying that, but it means that you release yourself from the entanglement and reliving of the issue in order to move on. And this is one thing that I believe people will need to be able to do in order to find the truth, or the better truth, is you've got to be able to release things in a way, in order to allow the space for the expansion of moving on. It does not mean you will ever accept a behavior that was done wrong, that caused an injustice, ever accept it potentially as being okay. That is not what forgiveness is. And you guys, I think people have tried to make that what forgiveness is. It is not what forgiveness means, okay? This is about release. So an example of this for this group, I think, is the desire to know the truth, but the current belief, and we're talking about the cabal here, are causing all of the issues, and thus they must pay. Okay, this is the injustice. The cabal caused all this, so they must pay. We have said many times that it is not that simple. So you have to ask yourself, do you want to know the truth, or do you want to hang on to this belief of justice, which can potentially limit you from the truth? The cabal is hoping for the latter belief it or not. You may be like, what do you mean? They want you to hold out for justice? That's what the cabal, yeah, that's what they want to hold out. You want to know why? Because they don't want you to know the truth. They'd rather you hold out for, you want justice. So think of, again, right now I'll use the example of, think of the pedophile and all of that being uncovered, and the people involved in the Me Too campaigns, and the people being exposed in, let's say, these areas. Believe me, the cabal will be happy to give up to justice lower level cabal. And what I mean is that if you know their name, they are lower level cabal. So if you do not know the names of the higher level cabal, let me just make that clear. And we've said that many a times. You do not know. If you know their name, they are lower level cabal, okay? So they will give up some of these people. They have no problem throwing some others under the bus, people, so that you feel satisfied with your current belief as truth, and you get the justice you want. Because why? Because that's going to block you from knowing the real truth, the more expanded truth. So they're happy to let you stay where you want to stay and give you a little bit something to keep you there. That's really going on. So you need to understand that, okay? And having that mechanism of how it operates, it allows them to still stay in control. This type of strategy has been used for thousands and thousands of years here on earth by them. There is nothing new going on with this strategy. It is an old time trusted strategy. Put them in there, give them something, and let them be happy with that, because we just don't want them to see behind the curtain. So give them this, and they're happy to do it. However, there are now those that want to know the actual enhanced truth, be damned their own personal current truth. Okay, people that are saying, I know I'm going to let it go. I just really want to know what the truth is. Thus, there is just honestly more awareness going on, and new awareness will lead to new understandings and perceptions, and thus new truths and options in moving forward. And all of that is to the negative chagrin, I can tell you. So for all of those out there who are saying they want the truth about, and then you just fill in the blank, I say, do you really understand what is going to happen to you in that quest? And again, this is all about the quest for truth. And are you prepared that your own personal truth will most likely change during this quest? Again, be careful for what you ask for. I also want to acknowledge those that are spending a lot of time pondering the truth of our past. And I mean those pondering times that could have occurred up to 1 million or so years ago. We do that here. We have a desire kind of to try and understand this whole expression, how it came into existence, the potentials of what were going on, and we try to share some of that with you guys. This quest for truth is understandable because of not just curiosity, but because of an innate fear of not learning from the past, and thus you're doomed to repeat it. And I certainly get it, because I think about those things too. However, there are a few barriers, such as a lack of physical evidence and the current historical records being written by the perspective of the victors. I think most people accept that now. What is left is communication such as channeling that is accepted by a few, but in no way currently provable in a scientific manner. And even if you accept channeling, you are left with a perspective from a person or group regarding a particular time. So is it the truth, or is it a perspective? And this is important because, you know, when we're trying to do work here and when Chris is trying to channel, I think now a lot of the groups make a point to say this is their perspective. Because again, you know, you have to understand that that's what you're potentially going to get. A lot of different perspectives based upon their experience and knowledge and understanding versus reading the source's final version, which is what people want. Okay. So I think if in this issue, if we can just drop knowing the ultimate truth and gather enough perspective to garner a generalized understanding, then that is enough to keep us from the fear of repeating the past. I just don't know if we will get it unless we spend a few thousand years, and I mean get the real truth. This is the only way I know how to get it. Spend a few thousand years studying the Akashic records, and then once you've read it all these different perspectives, really feel you got it going on, then guess what? You will just garner your own personal perspective from all the other perspectives. That's all you're going to get. So I don't think the source of all things writes a diary that gives. I don't think so. I think, again, what is the Akashic? The Akashic is a bunch of personal experiences, personal perceptions. It's your life going down on record. You know, is it written from the source's perspective or is it actually written from yours? Guess what? That's what a life review is. You get to review your own life from your perspective and maybe from others, but it is, again, their perspective. So you have to think about what it is when you want some of these ultimate truths. So I just wanted to bring that out because I think it's really important since so many people are on that quest for truth right now. And what does that really, really mean and how does it really affect them? So I don't know if there's any additional comments to Heroes and Quest, or we can see if the Galactics are there.
Well, actually, I have a channeling I typed out at the time.
Oh,
right here, and I don't see that you put it.
I didn't put it in.
Okay, yes, it is. It's right.
Oh, I thought, you know why? Because it was under this.
Yeah, that is not the, yeah. That's,
Okay.
okay, that's the, you have under affirmation. Let's see.
Sorry.
Okay, and there's no second.
So did you have anything else you wanted to add, Katrina? No? Okay.
Okay, and where's the second?
This is all that was there.
Okay, all right. Okay, this is a channeling that was done by being known as Hyperion, and so I will actually read this, what he said. Heroes and villains, for and against, flag against flag, nation against nation. To end this, be like me, a tree standing tall in a forest of voices, angels and demons. But more importantly, be the you that stands tall, not on a quest for someone else's glory, but for your very own soul. Though some may see you as a villain, this matters not, for your soul, your very being knows when the quest of the heart is true, or when it is a fool's errand or quest with a hero's flag. Remember your inner voice, the one of reason, unity, love, and balance, and do not listen to the voice that raises a sword in a hero's name, Hyperion. And since no one wants to talk now, that is the galactic contribution for this episode.
And again, tell us a little bit about Hyperion.
Yeah, this is actually a very interesting synchronicity. He is, in Greek mythology, he's known as a Titan hero or leader or king that opposed Zeus and the other Olympians. But what happened here was, this is the even more interesting part of this. Not many years ago, a couple of years ago, I read someone that Hyperion was a guide for. And I'd heard this name somewhere before, but I didn't know where. And then talk about synchronicities, the name came up on television a little later in time, came up on the internet a little later in time. And I had told this person I sensed he was speaking from Northern California. And we had assumed Mount Shasta, which I do believe, he had been under there at one time before the darker Syrians took over under there. But what actually took place was this. He is basically a Titan king, or supposed Titan king. But in those old days, I noticed what he looked like was more of a Polynesian person. He looked like a Polynesian person, so I saw him as more Lemurian than anything else. He looked kind of a mix between Hawaiian and other Polynesian tribes. And I've seen people recently on TV that looks like him. But this was the interesting part. I came to find out that there is the tallest living tree in the world, what he was referring to as the tree standing tall, is actually known as Hyperion. It has a name. And there are trees out there that have consciousnesses, and there are also beings that can also either channel it through trees, which some Sasquatch have been known to do, and also there are beings that can become celestials or become different bits of nature after a while too, if they so choose. So it was my belief this is how either he hid from the Olympians at the time, or he became that because he became part of overall nature. Or what I had originally assumed was that he was using it to transmit, but he was quite clear that he said he is the tree. He goes, I am the tree. So I saw what he actually looked like in a human form, and his current form is this tall tree. You can look it up on the internet. That is actually him, what he uses not only to speak, but that is actually his physical form now. So the download that I got for this was very interesting, and I'll put this in the comments, or not the comments, but the description underneath this video. I put his name, Hyperion, equals Titan, equals Titan King, equals tallest tree in the world / Northern California, equals giant, equals war with Olympus, equals Tartarus, Tartary, Tartaria, Tartarian Empire, underworld, Agartha, under another world's boot, meaning Nibiru. Those who lost grow again in sunshine. Earth equals Terra, equals Terran, equals human, equals humanity, equals Titan, equals villain to corrupt Olympus, equals hero.
And so that's really interesting. And I think if you're on mute, Katrina, maybe we can come in here because we got a little bit more time. So let's expand on heroes, because what I find interesting about this, and I don't know, reflecting back in time, is where do our heroes actually come from? Now, in the past, and this is a good example, the Olympians versus the Titans. We always say you got to be careful about how things were written, how stories were written, because more and more what we're learning is that heroes are not as they appear to be at all. Stories were manipulated. Oftentimes, a villain was then made into a hero when you literally, if you find historically a lot of research that maybe they really weren't good guys at all, they really weren't, but there was something about them that was going to be glorified. And in the end, what we find is some of that glorification is not necessarily for our highest good, the things that we actually adopt as these past heroes. So again, the story of the Olympians and the Titans is actually in reverse. But the Titans were the original people on Earth. The Olympians were the ones who came in to invade. But yet when the story got written, it was those rotten Titans that needed to be dealt with.
And also Tartarus, another word for hell, meaning demonic or evil. And they were the conquered, not the conquerors.
Right. So that's what we're starting to discover as we are looking through this, how stories were manipulated for someone else's purpose. And we're finding it over and over again. But, when you think back, Katrina, like when I think back, I can honestly say I didn't spend much time in my life thinking about, let's say, heroes, but the publicity or the news or somebody else seemed to present them to us, who to look at, and it always seemed to, I hate to say this, suit a purpose. Like, for example, war heroes, used to try and get more people to go into war. Or I don't know if you can remember any of that you question,
I don't know. When I think of heroes, when I think of them, I think of comic books. I think of television. As a little girl, my heroes were in those things. They were the Lone Ranger. They were, Superman. They had abilities that I didn't have. Even in the Disney books, I wanted to fly like Peter Pan. This was a hero because he could do something better than me. And so I think it's been the same way now. What kind of movies are out there? It's all heroes. But if you look at it, even though they have special powers, they might not necessarily be good. We think because you can fly, because you have all these talents and gifts, if they're misused, what kind of hero are you? Are you even a hero? So we're kind of like the same way. We have gifts. Do we use them positive or negative? Are we our personal hero, or are we something that uses that gift to make others think we're a hero? I think the media is the person that creates a lot of these heroes, and it takes away our own, sometimes self-esteem, because maybe we don't feel as important as we really are. Books the same way. You look at it all. Even in religion, all of that. There was miracles. We can't perform miracles, or can we? Maybe in our own personal life, but I mean, everything was thrown at us as something better than who we were. And to me, they were labeled heroes, but they really aren't. They just take away from your own maybe self-esteem and your own ability to use your gifts to the best as you can. And that's all we can ever do. That's when you're a real hero, is when you take what you have and you do the best you can for yourself and for everyone around you.
Yeah, and I do think that part of this heroes conversation has come into question in many people's minds. Remember, I'm always like, when you start a journey of wanting to know a truth or questioning something, it is going to tumbleweed. So I use, for example, what's going on where certain figures out there that were seen as heroes. It could be in sports. Okay, a lot of pumping of people as kind of a heroic figure in a sports, but yet then you get to see the full problems of that particular person. They could be having personal problems, violence problems, other things like that are considered, really socially unacceptable kind of bits of hate. So it's made everybody question, why would I want to wear shoes that guy wears when, is this really what I want my child? Because a lot of times when you think heroes, you actually may not realize what you're doing, but you're actually not just taking a piece of the pie of that person. You're creating a story around that whole person, and this is their whole entire package. And what's been happening a lot lately is some of these iconic, heroic, let's say, type people that were really looked up to, all their warts are showing and all their flaws are showing. And it's making people question, well, what really is a hero? And I think that is a good question. And I think they should be questioning it. If I were going to, and I've honestly never had this conversation with any young person. I actually do not have the conversation of heroes because, I would never try to promote somebody or try to tell somebody to emulate somebody, because again, it usually becomes an entire package deal, and there's usually dirt, a lot of dirt hanging. So it's an interesting discussion, because how do you actually have the conversation with those that, maybe could potentially look at somebody in such a heroic way that they're trying to emulate something that actually isn't even real, because they're going to take the whole persona that they've now imagined what their whole persona is. And how many people have been disappointed when they go up to somebody and then that person actually doesn't treat them very well, but they're in their mind they thought they were this glorious, nice, wonderful, caring human being until you went up to them and talked to them. So it's an interesting conversation, and people need to really relook at again the conversation of heroes and what does that actually mean. I think again, it kind of should leave the vocabulary or leave your thought mind that you need to be emulating anybody but yourself. And honestly, I think as far as the Galactics are concerned, anybody that's in this environment, to them are heroes.
That's true.
Exactly.
So I don't know if there's anything else we want to chat about.
The only thing I want to say, there's two shows that have been out there. There was one years ago where they were trying to put into the psyche of people to be that you're powerless if you're not a superhero. That was actually the name of the show. It was called Powerless, and it was about the regular humans that were around the superheroes, and they were labeling those people powerless. You have no power whatsoever. And that was a psychological thing that was going on. It didn't last very long. And the other one we saw was called The Boys, where all the superheroes were screwed up. They were just, they were like.
What is that on? Is that on Netflix?
That's on Amazon. That's on,
okay.
Yeah. And you want to talk about a really screwed up set of superheroes that are worse than any of the regular humans that are out there. It's that show. So you'll probably be a little scarred after watching that one, but it's actually good.
Yeah, so again, it's The Boys on Amazon. If you guys watch Amazon, you may want to give that a look. And again, we're not saying any side is more correct than the other, and you'll get it when you watch the show. We're just saying it's an interesting commentary on heroes, because they definitely are portrayed as heroes.
The regular people are trying to be the heroes, and then you have the over-glorified superheroes.
Yeah, but they do use those superheroes, and they try to portray them as heroes to certain public, and certain public are effective and actually go with that. But then you get to see the whole underbelly of it all, and so it's a very, very interesting show. So we would recommend it for that reason. Mm-hmm. I think.
Yes.
And so again, sorry, there's not a longer channeling. Some days are better than others for energetic wise of even attempting to bring people in. We think it's very important for you all out there to know that there's some days, Chris will write down pre-channelings, because there are other days that it just can't go live. It just can't. It's not necessarily safe to open up in certain things. So we hope you guys enjoyed this discussion. And again, we'll be talking soon on some other important things we want to bring to your attention. And if you have any questions about this show or something else, just send them to thelifting2017@gmail.com. Every now and then we do a Q&A where we address the questions that have come in. So that's all I have. Anything else from you?
No.
Anything else from you, Katrina?
No.
We're going to end it. We'll see you guys later. Bye.
Bye, everybody.